Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you would like to join this discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we're currently joined by absolutely nobody, oh, are we? Is that somebody's box there? Ah, 10th Man, how you doing? Good to have you.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're a little bit quiet. Let's turn you up. I've started the show an hour early today because tomorrow my wife is having a cesarean, so there's a good chance there won't be a live show tomorrow, or perhaps not Saturday either, as my wife will be in hospital and I'll be obviously by her side and hopefully by a new baby's side as well. So this show will continue on the second channel live today, but those shows get switched off, so I might do a couple more shows after this one's over. And yeah, so you've never done housekeeping, have you, 10th Man?
I think this is the first time I'm doing it with you solo.
Cool. Well, this will be quick then. Any evidence of Earth curvature?
I haven't seen any since my eyes were open.
Hi, Physics Warrior. Good to have you.
Hi, Nathan. Thank you.
Good to have you. Any evidence of axial rotation?
Nope, never felt anything spinning under my feet.
I don't have proof, Nathan. Sorry.
That's alright, you don't have to apologise. Any evidence that we can have a gas pressure without a container?
That's an absolute no.
Nothing here.
Scientific evidence of gravity?
No, just a word they made up.
I don't feel that attraction.
What about the distance to the sun?
I believe it's a light in the sky. I don't know how far it is.
Anybody
I don't
does.
see why. I don't believe it.
Fair enough. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
That's a lot of presupposing.
It certainly is.
A lot.
No molten iron core? I really hold out hope for that one.
How so?
Well, last but not least, any evidence of the R value?
You have to pre-assume
evidence
you have to pre-assume everything, right?
Yeah. R itself.
Yeah,
No?
it's. Did you see that article that came out about that black hole? They through all their media contacts, they spread it all over the world. And a friend of mine sent me like a nice little puppet, just responded and sent it to me. And I read it and I responded, more nonsense. And I put his name. Remember what I said to you. You cannot have gas pressure without a container. The Earth is not spinning. And no proof of gravity, just relative density, my friend. And then I quoted the article which said the target was an enormous black hole, 6.5 billion times more massive than the sun, in the core of M-87, a giant elliptical galaxy about 55 million light years away in the constellation Virgo. Really now, 55 million light years away? Of course, this is me now. They can't even float without wires faking gravity in the ISS. There's no outer space. Just a big lie to hide God and promote the Big Bang.
I didn't see the article, but that was very concise anyway, so...
I mean, I can't even get a cell signal. How in the world do they sing 55 million light years away? This is crazy.
Well, they're operating, I believe, 20 kilowatts is not for the amperage. And when I was looking on the amperage, they're coming up with, the measurement of 60 nautical miles here on Earth, but I don't see how we're able to measure it millions and millions of miles away.
My old Sansui receiver had more power.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Didn't Nixon phone the moon with a wired telephone?
Yeah, I remember that. I bought into all that. I was a young kid. I went and bought all the classic models of the rockets and the lunar lander. I built it. I wanted to be an astronaut. It just has a way of capturing your imagination and then come out later. It's all a lie. It's just so sad.
Weird when you look back on those things, because that clip will have been played to people and people will be familiar with what I'm talking about. I think it was a green phone, wasn't it? With all lights on it, rotary style, but with buttons. In other words, it's like a...
Yeah, that's right. Is that Nixon's phone?
Yeah, for the phone.
Yeah.
The moon.
Yes, correct. Vegan Goy actually had that picture up as an avatar.
Oh, okay. Wakey Wakey did a video about it. Mark Knight, Wakey Wakey channel, and he's doing I think it's like a comedy bit. I can't remember the name of the video. You'll have to excuse me, but yeah, Wakey Wakey channel. Anyway, and he was talking about it and showing it, and he pointed out, that we don't get any Wi-Fi after about 20 meters. Yeah, this guy's phoning the moon on a wired telephone. Like, right, okay.
Just to have the critical thought or really think this, being the skeptical. How are we actually able to? I know that there is a 11-minute lag time from here to Mars to control that rover, but heck, 86 million miles one way and 86 million miles another way, and given an 11-minute lag with a 20 kilowatt amperage, math doesn't seem real to me.
Why? Because of the
whole...
inverse square law, right?
That part, and actually, I have the technology itself is so poor here on Earth, and yet, while we're able to have communication from another place, is very interesting.
Especially when the place isn't real.
That's so true.
If space is a vacuum and the signal goes out, what's it bouncing off of?
I don't know. I don't like entertaining those questions because it begs the question for them. So you're saying...
No, that's what... Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't even make sense when they bring it up because the way... you remember that one initial radio broadcast someone did from Hawaii? I think it was in the early 1900s. And it was heard all the way in Europe. And they were trying to figure out how it went on the other side of the ball. They were saying it was bouncing off something above Earth. Well, they're right. It's a container.
Yeah, just a very long distance across a flat plane with a big amplifier. It's fairly simple stuff when you understand and appreciate that the Earth's a flat plane. That makes total sense, doesn't it? Same with earthquake vibrations and other anomaly that would be sound waves that would easily, just carry on if they're big enough and powerful enough across a flat plane. Whereas it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever if you're on a spinning ball that these, what are they reflecting off? How are they reflecting back down and around the sphere? It makes no sense at all.
I live on property here in California, and when the wind is blowing a certain direction, and say a member of my family is upwind of me, if I call their name out and I'm facing away from them, they can never hear me. And even when I'm facing them with the wind coming at me, it's hard for them to hear me just because of the way the sound and the wind. So I don't get where they get their logic for this.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
our everyday experience tells us otherwise.
Yeah, our experience definitely tells us we're on a flat, motionless plane. But yeah, back to the space bit. I really don't like begging the question for them anymore. Don't get me wrong, I'd get into those arguments less and less over the progression of flat Earth debate. But it started off with the occasional person coming in and claiming space, and then it getting ripped apart on the tertiary evidence or tertiary counter evidence. It's CGI, they're on high wires, all the stuff you just listed. But now I just think, I hope this doesn't cause offence to anybody. Great job to anybody who's debunking Leicester in that manner. But you can't have gas pressure without a container. The region of space is fake. So you don't have to, like we have been, if space is a vacuum, well, that's begging the question for them. And then you're into why it wouldn't work in a region that can't possibly exist in the first instance. So it's like, why beg the question for them? Just say you can't have space. Space is fake. Shout out to... I can't read the screen. Leonardo Gonzalez. I'm just so grateful I've got a screen. I've got the bulb today and had to wedge the thing in. Got the screen working, so I've got a proper smooth running show that I can actually monitor things and shout at the super chat when they come in. Thank you very much indeed, Leonardo Gonzalez.
I think
Nathan,
what you just said. Oh, go ahead.
well, I think with Nathan been around so long, and with being in Google top search, I think NASA is accommodating the reason why it seems like they're putting all like the moon within Earth's space. So I don't know. That's very interesting at this point, and maybe it's trying to avoid that question of what's on outer space. But it's kind of funny.
Well, they're digressing. It's almost like Neil digressed Tyson, not digress, because he said first the Earth is not flat. Then he's on that one video saying, "Oh, you're 2 millimeters up. It's flat." So now there's atmosphere all the way to the moon. What next? A little concession stand for the astronauts somewhere between here and Jupiter? I mean, come on.
Well, if the moon is going to be in the atmosphere, then I think the sun's going to have to be the same as well.
Well, that's what it says in Genesis, right? On the fourth day, the sun, the moon, and the stars were put inside a container, it says. It says that in the first book of Genesis. Hey, Nathan, back to your statement about space. Since it doesn't exist, why beg the question? I really like that. Sometimes it's such a shocker to them because they've never heard it that way. I would like to see you do that with 8 inches per mile square in the curve. Just take it away from them. Use their own math and just say, can't happen. Can't see a curve. Here's why. Your math. Your math says we can't see a curve. So your math is wrong.
Oh, well, you can do that. Just give me a second. I'll just give my kid her iPad back. Just give me 30 seconds.
Didn't we do that in show number 77 already? And that's the beginning.
Well, they have got this term. It's just simple geometry. Well, that seems fairly innocuous when they say it. Well, it's just simple geometry. Well, read that for what it actually means. It's geometry only. So their mathematics are comparable to things like schematics, not pictures. So all of the aspects that would make up this picture on screen right now, things like the vanishing point, things like the diffraction limit of the camera, things like the atmospheric conditions of the day, affect how far you can see. And in their calculations, they exclude all aspects of perspective. So you don't get that aspect of the picture from their calculations. It's a false comparison. So all you need to do if they ever say 8 inches per mile squared is what you see, right, well, that equation, where do you factor in the Rayleigh criterion? Where do you factor in perspective? Where do you factor in? And when you get to the weather conditions, shout out to, just wait a second for it to get up the screen past the glare, Jason Dean, thank you very much. Says, great show, Nathan Oakley. Thank you very much indeed, Jason. Lots of umming and ahhing today. Where was I? 8 inches per mile. Yeah, they've just hijacked
the whole
perspective. Well, that's a rough equivalent to what the actual optics that make up the picture do. So you do have perspective, you do have a diffraction limit of the camera, you do have atmospheric conditions on the day. That was where I was at. The atmospheric conditions, they'll claim they do account for. They account for refraction according to some of the calculations that are out there. Well, they do not. They apply 7/6R, terrestrial refraction, a mathematical construct that begs the question of R, and then begs the question again of R with 7/6 value attributed to it, which they claim is their account for atmospheric conditions only. But the actual optical nature of the picture is not accounted for in a geometric calculation. So, you know, the clue is in what they disclaim about what the calculation is actually doing. It's not comparable to optics. It's actually hijacked what we see in respect to perspective, hijacked what we see in terms of the diffraction limit and the atmospheric conditions on the day, and then hijacked all of those and called them Earth curve. So geometric only essentially means no optics.
Yeah. Now, all of what you said is the rigmarole, and I've been in these conversations with people who have said it with less. I mean, you know their argument better than they do, so you just said it the way one of their elites would say it. However, in our everyday experience, if someone held up a basketball in front of me and said, hey, the reason you can't see the curve of this basketball falling down is because of diffraction or refraction or this or that, I'd say, silly. It's a ball. I should be able to see the full circumference of it. You're holding it in your hand. It's almost that silly. If the Earth is a ball, sea level, mountaintop, airplane, high altitude balloon, you've got to be able to see it. You can't see it.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that's absolutely true. The Earth is obviously and observably flat. You're not wrong. I just can't debunk the 8 inches per mile squared in a concise way, because what I just said took about 2 minutes to actually blurb out, right? About them ignoring all optical aspects, geometric only. That's reasonably concise, but it doesn't give you enough detail to argue against somebody when they say, well, we see the Earth curving away from us at 8 inches, at 8 inches per mile squared. And the only comeback to that is to say that is a geometric calculation only. It doesn't account for perspective. That's the quickest and simplest way.
But when they say we see it curving, where do they? I don't see it curving.
Well, no, they don't. What they see is obstruction at the horizon. So
Correct.
They claim that obstruction at the horizon is Earth curving. So it's only in one axis. As you look out in this picture, this isn't a great example, but if they were to allege that there was curvature occurring, it would be how much of the bottom of whatever they were looking at was obscured by the horizon. Well, and they would claim that obstruction is an Earth curve obstruction, so the Earth is physically rising up between you and the target, which makes absolutely no sense considering that they also claim you're on the top always. But there we go, that aside.
Okay, so what about the Nile River? What is it, 4,000 miles or something long? What about all these different rivers that would have to be going uphill for the bulge in between two points? How come that's not happening then?
Sorry, I had to stop my kid going through the cutlery drawer. What were you saying?
All right, good dad. No, I was saying, what about the Nile River? Thousands of miles long. Other rivers, I mean, what, the Nile goes all the way to the Amazon? I mean, where's the bulge? Why isn't it flowing backwards?
I don't know, because the Earth's flat and it just flows generally downhill.
Right, so when they say all the stuff you said they say, which is correct, they do say that way, and they don't bring in perspective properly. I say, what about the Nile River? Starts way up there, goes all the way to the Amazon. Where's the bulge? How come it's not flowing back? How come it's going in one direction? What's going on here?
Hey, Slick James, good to have you.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Slick. 10th man.
Hello, hello.
But Nathan, I mean, it's going to be very, very hard to convince the real reality to people. Well, you know, the maths, the tools, that supports the shape. So, for example, with the math, they have geometry and they use an angle. I mean, which is trigonometry, and the trigonometry is really a triangle. But if you put all the triangles together, it creates a sphere. Not a sphere, but a circle, two-dimensional flat circle. And if they want to use, let's say, a reference point, they use a sextant, which is another triangle shape. But those are part of the tools, but that they're actually having, and that's how we're probably having a hard time convincing to look at the reality or perspective itself, because they have a lot of things on one side that they feel comfortable with, and they have the math 2 plus 2 equals 4, 0 plus 4 is 4, and then along with this curvature, they're not going to look at the pure shape or the actual the swelling of the earth in the middle. More so that they're going to be grabbing onto the equipment that they have that's tangible to them, and it feels real to them. So it's a big spell that's there, but I can see exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, but doesn't the math work against them? Math doesn't lie. Math works against them. They just keep saying the math, but then when you bring it to their attention, it's not there. Then they just keep saying the math because they're brainwashed, like we all were.
Oh, they can come up with another math. It seems like it's one math, and then another math will cancel out, and that's where we're at with the debate. But more
Yeah,
so,
but everyday people, when they go shopping and buy something for 50 cents and they give $1, they expect
mm-hmm.
50 cents back.
Correct.
Well, that's the math we use. I don't know what math they're using.
Well, I mean, then it leads down to, if the math's telling them there is a curvature, they're gonna accept it logically in their mind and support it with all the tools that they have provided within this argument.
Well, isn't that the case of people saying this magical force called gravity because they made it up to make everything work? Same thing.
I mean, for right now, for sure. I mean, you and I we're at this moment right now that we're talking about this happening, but heck, who knows? Nope. This is probably a discussion that was never even brought up for a long time. So I'm saying that we could probably be new at this discussion, and now we're identified. That's at from we have identified what somewhat of reality is. With the refraction and the circle confusion. Now we're at the point where it's perspective and math, a choice. So we could be so descriptive on the perspective side, and then yet also with the math itself. But you know what I mean. It leads down to the person if they're gonna
Yeah, but
accept
math
the.
is objective. Math is objective. It doesn't lie. Their math goes against them. It's not subjective. It's objective. Math works for flat Earth, not the other way around.
Well, I mean, I want to be more like math is a description and describes things.
Yeah,
Pretty
objective
much.
truth. It,
Yeah.
it, it, and that's why philosophers of old like math because it takes the bias out. It takes the emotions out of anything. It's two and two will always be four. It will never be five, ever.
No, but I could accept 0 plus 4 is 4, and you can
But that's
accept two
math.
plus two. Yeah, I mean it's describing it both ways. We can cancel everything out and